What's up, y'all boys? It's Bucks. Welcome back to the channel. And today I'm talking about Rayman Legends, man. Oh my goodness. Do you guys remember this game? Do you remember Rayman Legends? Originally slated for release for the Wii U, of all things, exclusively back in, I believe, late 2012. Obviously published and developed by Ubisoft. It ended up getting delayed back in that era because the Wii U was let's say, not one of the most successful consoles of all time. Definitely one of the consoles of all time. And yeah, man, I mean, got delayed. As a result, ended up being multi-plat. It came to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, as well as I believe later the Vita and not the 3DS. I don't think it ever made it to the 3DS. I'm thinking about Rayman Origins. And yeah, man, phenomenal 2D platformer. In my opinion, what was at the time Rayman's resurgence. And, you know, you could call it kind of semantical or pedantic because Rayman Origins was the game that came out before this and kind of laid the groundwork for Legends. But personally speaking, just, you know, as a hot take, I think Rayman Legends is a better game, but only moderately. They're both peak, so it's, you know, you're kind of splitting hairs. It's like a wash. I'm not gonna argue with you about it, but yeah, man, Rayman Legends, man, just a phenomenal game. Fantastic art style, a little different from Origins, because basically what they did was they took the world of Rayman, which was originally like a 3D platformer, turned it 2D and gave you level-based structure. In Origins, they have what's called like a UB art, sort of cel-shaded, hand-drawn, like line art kind of style. And in Legends, they revise it, and it's kind of hard to describe. I wouldn't know exactly how I want to describe it, but it's basically similar, but more like a, I guess, like glossy or like glittery. That's like the genuinely, honestly, the best way I could describe it. But obviously I'll have some pictures or video on screen so you can see what I'm talking about. But this game, whether it comes to the art style, the music, which definitely the music I'll talk a little bit more about in a second, the gameplay, the platforming aspect, the multiplayer, because that's an underrated aspect about it. The fact that this game is multiplayer, the fact that it's got challenges, the fact that it's got throwback back to Origins levels, touching a little bit more on the music now, the fact that it's got music levels in which you're basically playing through kind of like a rhythm game where you run through the level and it's like a speed run, but the speed run has to be maintain the pace and the beat, the cadence or the tempo of the song that's in the background. And of course, throughout the game, all of these things escalate in difficulty. So towards the end of the game, you got versions of that same kind of level structure that is very difficult, and they even start throwing filters at you and stuff like that. It's just a phenomenal game. And honestly, part of the point of this video that I'm making is to just put some spotlight back on Rayman, because personally speaking, I really want a third Rayman game in this style, like the Rayman Origins, Rayman Legends style, that 2D platformer aesthetic. In the years since this game has dropped, which it's been thoroughly over a decade now, it's been a decade since 2023, so thoroughly over a decade now since this game has dropped for the first time. In that time, there's been a couple of mobile games, there's been a couple of cameo appearances from Rayman. Like, for example, I just made a recent video on Astrobot, and in that game he has like a cameo costume, just because Astrobot is peak, so of course it respects Rayman, because respect Rayman. the Rabbids, which, dude, speaking of a rabbit hole, I'm not gonna get too deep into the Rabbid universe, Rabbid lore, but you know, there's a case in point argument that the Rabbids basically killed off Rayman's entire legacy, if you will. Honestly, I mean, he's MIA. He's like peak Celtics Shaq at this point, or like peak Brooklyn Nets Kevin Garnett or something, because he's been gone for years at this point. But he gets cameo appearances every once in a while, like with the Rabbids, like the Mario and Rabbids games. He's had a DLC, and if I remember correctly, most recently there's been teases or some kind of rumor going around because of one of the DLCs, like one of the very end sentences or cutscenes or something like that for Mario vs. Rabbids, or Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Or not Kingdom Battle, the other one, the sequel. But the thing about it is that Ubisoft is one of those untrustworthy video game publishers and developers in general, since they also have a development division, in the sense that whenever they put out a promise for their games, and that's a long-term promise, like an example that comes to mind is the quality of a game whenever they have to announce a public delay. Those would count as like a long form, please stick with us type of promise. Boy, their track record is not the best, right? And whether it's something along the lines of like a Watch Dogs, or the recent Assassin's Creed games, or any number of other controversies that have befell Ubisoft in the past few years, it doesn't make me have the highest level of confidence in whatever they're trying to do with Rayman behind the scenes. So that's what makes me feel like he's not getting a proper game anytime soon, or like it's gonna be some irrelevant fodder, like it's gonna be some middling of the road ass shit, which really fucking sucks. But yeah, man, I mean, Rayman Legends, bro, it's a great game. Like, if you haven't played it, I implore you to play it. It's on most platforms nowadays, whether that's current gen consoles, PS5, Xbox Series, Nintendo Switch, or hopefully Nintendo Switch 2, because we think it's going to be backwards compatible, but who knows. Nintendo might do some trifling ass shit, but let's hope and pray that they're not off their rocker this time around. Whether it's some of the older platforms that it's accessible on, you know, Vita, I think mobile. Not sure about that one though, don't quote me. Last gen consoles, PS4, Xbox One, etc. Even the original slate of consoles, bro. Like, if you have a Wii U lying around, you know what I'm saying, dust it off. You know what I'm saying? There are methods to obtain the game in which you may or may not have to divvy out some of your hard-earned cash, but for legal purposes, that was a joke. But on a serious note, man, give Rayman Legends a shot if you haven't tried it. If you have tried the game, if you've played it, if you know what I'm talking about, let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. Also, let me know what you'd like to see from a new Rayman game, man. You know, I'd love to have a formal, legitimized, like real full form comeback for the character. So anytime, anywhere that could happen, I'm all for it. But yeah, man, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like the vid if you like the vid. Subscribe if you're not, and I'll catch you on the next one, man.